Hi friends, welcome to this brand new series, brand new playlist on AZ305. These are all real certification questions on designing Microsoft Azure infrastructure. If you haven't got a chance to subscribe to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. This will help you stay tuned to majority of the cloud certification content. This channel is totally dedicated to help you with clearing cloud certifications, whether it be AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud. We have it all. By the way, you can also become a member by clicking the join button below. And Cloud Kernel and Cloud Ninja are the two members or member categories you can opt for all the certification contents around cloud. Let us straight dive into the questions. So you have an application. What does the application do? It validates vacation requests. Okay, so it validates the vacation requests for 6,000 users. Just, you know, in your company, you must be using some tool or portal where you submit your vacations and it gets validated. Similar to that. And the application manages its own credential store. That means there is uh, a store here and it stores the user and name and passwords for this application. Okay. Now users must enter username and password to access the application. Okay, so it is currently not single sign-on. At this point in time, you got to put your username and password. And the application does not support identity providers. So what are identity providers? That means they are applications which creates, maintains, and manages identity information while providing authentication service. What is authentication service? It's like whether are you a genuine employee of that company to access this portal and submit a vacation request. That is something which is called authentication. It authenticates whether this guy is an employee of this company or not. Now we all know that SSO is the way forward for most of the companies. Okay, so similar to that, this company also says I'll upgrade my application to use SSO authentication. And via what? Via Active Directories application registration. So we are sure we got to use SSO authentication using AD. Now the question is, what SSO method should we use out of these? Just to build a good narrative why SSO is better, you see this? Using uh, passwords, similar passwords like password 1, this is bad. If you are using uh, like voice or SMS, password is good. And if you are using authenticator services or software tokens, hardware tokens via OTP, that is good. And the best is single sign-on. You just use a phone sign-in um, or through the security key or certificates. That is the best. That is called passwordless. Okay, so we got these methods. These are the methods. Now, if I see the list of options, I could only spot password based. Here, if you see this password, I could not spot like header based. I could not spot this, and I could not spot SAML. Here SAML is not here, and I could not spot OpenID Connect. OpenID Connect is not there. So using the password, the security is low, usability is high, and availability is high. So this would be my final answer. Now let us jump to this question. You got these two resources, okay? Now what does AS1 do? So AS1 would be used to analyze operational data daily. You got operational data coming in on a daily basis. It will help you analyze that. And CDB1 hosts a container that stores continuously updated operational data. So CDB1, you see, this is the database Cosmos DB, and AS1, this is Synapse Analytics, which will be used to run analytics on your operational data. Now you need to propose a solution to analyze the data without affecting the performance of of the data store, that is this data store. Okay, what should we recommend? So let us go with Cosmos DB change feed. So you know the concept of change data capture. This is similar to that. The change feed, it is trying to identify what got changed. Okay, and that is its purpose. Now the question here is not talking about incremental loads. I do not see the word incremental loads. That's why Cosmos DB change feed is wrong. Now let us look at option B. Now option B tells you to use data factory. So what is data factory in the Azure world? It is the ETL process, that is extraction, transformation, and load. So primarily its purpose is to fetch the data, and you can construct both ETL or you can do a ELT process. You can do both. But you know, this would not be efficient because it would cause some impact on performance. That's why this is wrong. Now let us look at option C. So that is Synapse link. So Azure, they have given you this feature, and this is a cloud native processing capability, and that enables near real-time analytics over operational data in Cosmos DB. So you want to analyze the data, you are very sure, and you do not want to cause a performance issue. And what is the sort of data? It is operational daily data. It is not a data warehouse. That means a near real-time analytics would be the need of the hour. So this is born for this purpose. If anytime, if the cloud platform provides a ready-made solution just like this, a link, we do not go for a customized solution using data factory or some other mechanism. Now option D, it states that you would use Azure Synapse Analytics with Polybase. What is Polybase? See, Polybase, the primary purpose is to access external file formats. Usually what do? We got some files, we run ETL like data factory, and we load it into Synapse. But there may be, you know, incremental data, or there may be some new data sources coming in the form of files. Now you cannot build ETL routines on the fly always, because that will slow your uh, go to market capabilities, in time go to market capabilities. So you use Polybase, where you can access external file formats and you get the data. So using Synapse SQLs, you will feel as if the files through Polybase are a part of your database. But this won't work here because uh, Polybase works with Synapse. We are not here. We are talking about Cosmos DB API. So this would be my answer. Now let us look at this one. You may pause this video and read this carefully. See, there are 5 virtual machines. These yellow boxes, these are 5 virtual machines, and an application name app1 uses these. and in future you may add additional virtual machines. So that option is open. Now you need to recommend a solution to meet these requirements. First is you need to ensure virtual machines can authenticate to Active Directory to gain access to Key Vault and so on. Okay, so that is one thing. Then, so these virtual machines will need to talk. For example, these guys here, they need to talk to Key Vault. So it needs access. So that access would be provided by AD. AD will say, hey, you know what? It's just like your apartment security guard. If someone needs to go to a apartment, a flat XXX, then this security guy would give him access to the ground floor and so on. It's similar to that. So what you're asking is you have these many requirements, like you need to avoid assigning new roles and permissions for Azure services. So every time this guy is trying to access new service, you need to avoid that concept of creating a new role and permission for any additional virtual machines. And then you need to store the secrets and certificates on the virtual machines. You need not store, you need to avoid creating roles, you need to avoid storing secrets and certificates, and you need to minimize administrative effort for managing identities. What should we use out of these? Let's scan the first one, the system assigned managed identity. See, we used managed identities for, like, the reason we use is because, like, a common challenge is developers, they need access to so many things, so many services, and they cannot manage the credentials and certificates. So that is a common challenge where managed identities come into place, where developers can store all their secrets in Key Vault, and then you use managed identities to provide automatic managed identity in Active Directory, and they can access it. So every time when they try to access, for example, this yellow box here, when it tries to access some other service, every time it will not ask for username and password. It will implicitly provide that access. That is the purpose of managed identity. So we are sure here we got to use managed identity. What is service principal? So service principles, using this you can define, it is very local to an application first of all, and it is more to do with authorization, where it says, okay, who can access this application and who cannot. That is how, if you have that kind of need, you use service principle. But if the need is that you just gain access to the front door, and automatically you should be able to gain access to the apartment, uh, to the entire floor where the apartment is, to the living room, to the bedrooms, and to the uh, gymnasium, swimming pool. So one access gives you free pass to all of these areas. That is happening through managed identity. Okay, and service principle is just about, hey, who can use the gym? Just because you are able to use the gym, you cannot use the swimming pool. Everything will have its own access. So these are two different purposes. So service principle in this case is wrong. Okay, because you see this requirement clearly means that we need one access, like you get access to your main gate, and you can access the library, the gymnasium, swimming pool, the tennis court, badminton court, so on. So this guy is wrong and this guy is wrong. Now we got to choose between system assigned managed identity and user assigned. See, some of the advantages of managed identities is that you do not need to manage credentials, and you can use managed identities to authenticate to any resource that supports AD authentication. So in our requirement, Here it states, you know what additional VMs will be deployed later. See, for that, I would say this managed entities work well. So the difference is system assign, it creates the managed entity directly on the resource, and user assign, it creates it as a standalone Azure resource. So that is the difference. And in this case, user assign would work best because in system assign, what they do is uh, only the Azure resource can use this identity, but here user assigned identities can be used by multiple resources, and hence A is wrong and D is correct. So folks, if you have not clicked the subscribe button, please hit subscribe, and it will give you access, unlimited access to a lot of cloud certification content. Please click the join button at the bottom of this video, and you can join and become a cloud kernel member or a cloud ninja member. These will give you access to very special cloud certification real questions as well as a ton of knowledge base. Stay tuned, and I will see you in the next part.